Thank you. We will now move on to the next item of business. And point of order, Craig Hoy.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. Not for the first time, details of a statement to be made in this Parliament have been leaked to the Scottish press. For years, we have been saying that the SNP's ill-conceived plan for a national care service should be scrapped. And today, thanks to the Daily Record, we found out that that is the government's intention. This shows complete and utter contempt, not just for the Chair, for this Parliament, but also for the very many stakeholders who invested a huge amount of time, energy and money in working with the government on this botched plan. So I seek your guidance, Deputy Presiding Officer. Have you had any discussions with the government about this latest breach of protocol? Are you aware of how this information may have come to be in the public domain? And what will the Chair and this Parliament do to prevent such an egregious breach of the rules and disrespect to this Parliament and its members?
I thank Mr Hoy for his point of order. I'm not fully cognisant of the full detail in the newspaper to which he refers. Of course, I would not expect to see any detail made available to others before the Parliament is made aware. And that is, of course, the expectation that we all work to. And therefore, I will look into the matter that the member refers to. I intend now to proceed with the next item of business, which is a statement by Marie Todd on the future of the National Care Service. The Minister will take questions at the end of her statement, and hence there should be no interventions or interruptions. And I call on Minister Marie Todd. Up to 10 minutes, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. People with lived experience have invested huge amounts of time, energy and emotion in trying to make the National Care Service work. We cannot afford to let that effort go to waste by leaving social care in its current state. That's a quote from Sarah Redmond, Chief Officer of the Alliance, from November last year. It's been on my mind since I announced a pause to Stage 2 of the National Care Service Bill. I've reflected on the evidence taken by the Health and Social Care and Sport Committee and views from stakeholders, people with lived experience, members of the public and political parties. I'm grateful to everyone I've spoken to, particularly those with lived experience, for their continued commitment. Throughout my conversations with people, the case for reform has remained clear. Despite the best efforts of many, our social care system is not delivering the care and support people require to live and to thrive. There's an overwhelming need for change now. I also note that in England and Wales, similar discussions are underway, and there's rising momentum for national approaches. We've spent 3 years developing plans, and significant commitment and resources from a wide range of people has brought us to this point. Today, I will set out revised proposals for the National Care Service Bill and the other urgent actions to deliver improvements in the social care system. We remain committed to creating a national care service, as recommended in the Feely Review, and ultimately improving the individual experience of everyone in Scotland who relies on care. Part 1 of the bill and the June draft amendments proposed reform of integrated social care and community health. We made considerable effort to find compromise and a way forward, but it is clear that those proposals are not supported by this chamber. I've concluded that we must deliver our Scottish National Care Service without legislating for structural reform, securing a different means to deliver our goals. It is therefore my intention to remove Part 1 from the bill at Stage 2 and to proceed with Parts 2 and 3 only. Now, I realise that this will be a source of disappointment to many, particularly those with lived experience, who have been clear that greater transparency and scrutiny is necessary to drive the improvement that we all agree is needed. I want to reassure those people that I remain committed to the ambitions of the National Care Service. We've already made significant improvements to social care during this Parliament, and later in this statement I'll explain how I intend to continue this progress. Firstly, I want to set out what will remain in the bill. Core elements of Anne's Law are already in place through strengthened health and social care standards on visiting for care homes, but more is needed. The First Minister and I have been profoundly impacted by conversations with the families on Anne's Law. We are committed to enshrining Anne's Law in primary legislation and working together to ensure the bill gets this right. We know that sharing your story repeatedly can be frustrating and traumatic. The bill enables information sharing across health and social care services with consistent information standards. This will lay the foundation for an integrated digital approach, making it easier for people to access and manage their own information and care. Digital approaches offer a great opportunity to improve people's experience of care and treatment. Unpaid carers make an incredible contribution to Scotland's communities and our health and social care system. And through the bill, we will introduce a right to breaks for unpaid carers. This builds on the £88 million that we invest through local government in support through the Carers Act and the £8 million a year already provided for voluntary sector short breaks, as well as the rollout of carer support payment across Scotland. Across the Chamber, as well as across the sector itself, there is agreement that change is needed to support the vital role of social workers. We are committed to driving forward these improvements in partnership to bring sustainable reform that future-proofs the social work service in Scotland for generations to come. It remains clear from the Feely Review, from engagement with thousands of people with lived experience, from a wide range of stakeholders and from the recommendations of this Parliament in its post-legislative scrutiny of the Self-Directed Support Act, that enhanced national support and oversight is necessary. Therefore, I will move quickly to establish a National Care Service Advisory Board on a non-statutory basis. It's my intention that the Advisory Board will include people with lived experience of accessing care services, unpaid carers, those who work in the sector, care providers, the third sector, trade unions, the NHS and local government. I expect the Board to meet for the first time in March this year. I want the chair of that board to be someone independent, ideally with lived experience of accessing care, or caring themselves, or who represents those with lived experience, who can hold the Scottish Government and all our other partners to account for the improvement that is needed. Where it's indicated that agreed standards are not being met, progressive and targeted support will be offered to those areas to help them improve. I'll ask the Board for advice on the best way to do this. We know that the current system for integrated health and social care is not delivering for people. There is no shared understanding of what good looks like and no systematic approach to tackling problems in local areas quickly when they first emerge. That results in performance issues in some local areas reaching crisis point. We'll review our health and social care standards, agreeing local monitoring and reporting frameworks and improving access to information. That will enable a systematic approach to providing progressive and targeted support for local areas, and where necessary, using our powers of direction and guidance when standards are not being met. The Advisory Board will have a wide remit. They'll provide advice on national programmes that are intended to support improvement. That includes the existing implementation of the carers and dementia strategies, work to embed a person-led approach through Getting It Right for Everyone or GERFI, and our work to reduce the number of people in delayed discharge and the drugs mission. We'll also explore with partners how we can plan and deliver more effectively for people with high levels of need across current organisational and geographical boundaries. We'll empower people to understand their rights by publishing our co-designed Charter of Rights. We'll develop national standards and guidance for commissioning and procurement to deliver on our commitment to ethical commissioning. We'll also continue work to overhaul eligibility criteria in social care, and I'll consider how we will achieve our ambition to remove non-residential charging. It's essential that we continue to support our workforce. We're delivering on our commitments to fund the real living wage for adult and social care workers. We also have a clear focus on national and local workforce planning, high-quality learning, development and leadership support for social care staff. We'll build a well-deserved sense of professionalism in the sector and improve parity with the NHS workforce. At local level, integration joint boards will continue to plan and oversee social care and community health. I'll consider what changes can be made to secondary legislation, guidance and the approval of integration schemes to ensure that the voice of lived experience is heard and to increase accountability and financial transparency. I will also support Highland Partners who have decided to end their unique model of integration to align with the rest of Scotland's integration joint board model. I welcomed the news on the UK Government's plans for an independent commission on social care announced a few weeks ago. There are significant issues on employment, on the relationship with taxation, on immigration and on pensions that can only be resolved through powers held by the UK Government. That includes the impact that increasing the employers' national insurance contributions will have in the social care sector in Scotland. We are already engaging with UK ministers, and I will continue to urge the UK Government to reconsider this. I note the comments made by the UK Government Social Care Minister Stephen Kinnock on previous UK Government attempts to reform adult social care, failing due to a destructive combination of party political point scoring and short-term thinking. I want us in Scotland to move forward collaboratively to focus on the importance of social care reform and the vital purpose of a national care service to improve people's lives. Throughout this bill process, I have said my door is always open to discussion. That is the case today. We are all agreed that social care outcomes must improve, and I urge members across the chamber to engage constructively with us as we move forward. Together, we can bring about the sustainable change to social care that people urgently need.
Thank you, Minister. The Minister will now take questions on the issues raised in her statement. I intend to allow around 20 minutes for questions, after which time we will move on to the next item of business. I would invite those members who would wish to seek to ask a question to please press the request to speak buttons, and I call on Sandish Gohani.
A declaration of interest as a practising NHS GP. The National Care Service was the SNP's flagship healthcare policy, as promised at the 2021 election to fix the care crisis. But 4 years later, almost £30 million has been wasted, which could have paid for the salaries of 1,200 social care workers. From day one, the Scottish Conservatives were against this bill and repeatedly called for investment into frontline care. But the SNP have failed to listen, just as they failed to listen to experts, trade unions and councils, agreeing that this bill was fatally flawed. But the SNP stubbornly ploughed on, throwing good money after bad. Following today's hapless and tone-deaf statement from Marie Todd, which has shown the NCS collapsing after a humiliating display of arrogance, failure and sheer waste. The SNP government could not run a bath, let alone be trusted with our health and social care service. We have a shower of charlatans before us who have failed people who need social care, failed social care workers and failed Scotland. Today's statement amounts to flagship failure, putting party before people. In any other organisation across Scotland, failure like this would lead to sackings and resignations.
Dr Gahani, I need a question from you, please. Could I have your question?
So, in any other organisation across Scotland,
Dr Gahani,
like
could you please now just ask your question? Dr Gahani,
so,
please resume your seat.
Will Neil Gray and Marie Todd do the right thing, accept responsibility for their monumental failure
Thank you,
resign?
Dr Gahani. Could I just say, as the start of this, excuse me, could I just say to members at the start of this statement that we need to get through the business of the statement. We need to get as many members to ask questions as possible. If I have to keep interrupting to keep order, fewer members will get to ask their question. I don't think that's what members want. Minister.
I thank the member for the question. Let me say at the outset, we have listened very carefully to what people are telling us. We have listened very carefully to the voices of lived experience. We have listened very carefully to the recommendations of the Feely Review. We have listened very carefully to our institutional stakeholders and the members of different political parties across this chamber. Everyone is agreed that change is needed in social care. No one is accepting of the status quo. I have listened extremely carefully, and I am trying very carefully to navigate a way forward. We all agree that there are problems in social care. What we do not agree on is a way forward. And Dr Gulhani is absolutely correct. The Tories have been opposed to this legislation from the very conception, and yet have come forward with not a single alternative idea on how to improve
excuse me,
care.
Minister, please resume your seat. When one person has the floor, no other member has the floor. Dr Gulhani, please do not take on the authority of the chair. Absolutely. Minister, please resume.
So, I am setting out today a plan that I believe that all of us can get behind. I have removed part 1 of the bill, the most contentious part of the bill, and we are continuing with part 2 and 3, which contains parts of work that we cannot proceed with without primary legislation, and parts of the bill that the majority of people in this Parliament are on the record as supporting. And I will continue to work until I have delivered the change that people who are accessing social care want to see.
I call Jackie Bailey.
3 years on, 3 Cabinet Secretaries and 2 Ministers later, almost 200 civil servants, £2 million spent on private consultants and nearly £30 million of taxpayers' money just on this bill. And whilst I welcome the remaining provisions, the National Care Service is no more. Not a single penny of the £30 million has been spent on care packages. That money would have delivered 1 million extra hours of care, stopped care packages being cut, stopped care homes closing. Yet the Minister knows that this bill will do little to improve social care. What a waste of time and money. The centrepiece of the SNP's legislative programme has been sidelined, a bit like the Health Secretary. In 2021, Humza Yousaf said, "The creation of a National Care Service will be the most significant public sector reform since the creation of the NHS in 1948. And the service will be operational within the 5-year lifetime of this Parliament." Well, that's aged well. No National Care Service, little difference to those in receipt of social care, yet another failure.
And I do need a question, Ms Bailey.
Presiding Officer, isn't it time for Neil Gray to follow Humza Yousaf's lead and resign?
Minister? Members, excuse me, Cabinet Secretary, please don't. Minister.
So there's a number of issues in the statement that Jackie Bailey has just made that I'm going to pick up on. We, as a government, committed to a 25% increase in funding for social care this term of Parliament, and we've delivered on that 2 years early. On the £30 million that we spent on the National Care Service development, for context, that's £30 million over 3 years in a system that we collectively spend £5 billion a year on. I don't think it is unreasonable. Jackie Bailey may think it's unreasonable, but I do not think it is unreasonable to spend 0.2% of the annual budget to achieve change in a system that all of us agree is not currently working. The time and money we have spent will help us to lay a strong foundation for the future of social care. And as always, we are guided by the outputs of co-design work that we have done over the past 3 years. In terms of the progress that we have seen at the moment, we have enhanced scrutiny and assurance of local areas. We have made progress in reducing delayed discharge, with a focus on supporting those local areas experiencing the most challenges. We've set up a CRAG to lead to much better grip in understanding the nature of the issues being faced, including the challenges both nationally and locally, leading to a whole system of national and local interventions. The Scottish Government, COSLA and Public Health Scotland have established a rapid peer review and support team to provide support directly to a small number of local systems to help them to reduce delayed discharge. The 24-25 budget provides £2 billion of investment for social care and integration, meaning that funding for social care has increased by over £1 billion since 21-22. I'll go on. We've invested to ensure that social care workers are paid at least the real living wage. No, but it's interesting that people don't want to hear this. So, social care workers in Scotland are paid at least the real living wage. That's why the minimum wage paid for adult social care staff in Scotland.
Please resume. Yes. First of all, again, just if we could listen to the member who has the floor. Second of all, Minister, I would have to say that we only have a limited time for questions, so I would appreciate succinct questions and, of course, succinct answers to match. Thank you.
I'll finish on this point then, although I have many more improvements that I could point to. The adult social care workers in Scotland are paid around £1,000 more than their English counterparts because of the investment that this government has made to ensure that social care workers are paid at least the real living wage.
I call Kevin Stewart to be followed by Brian Whittle. Mr Stewart.
Presiding Officer, we are here to represent people. And the people who rely on care services and carers, the voices of lived experience, wanted to see structural change. So I'm disappointed that that element is being removed from the bill. The Minister has said that she will establish an NCS advisory board with an independent chair, ideally with lived experience. I believe that it is essential that the chair has lived experience. So can the Minister assure me that the chair will be someone who is a voice of lived experience, to hold those with vested interests who are against change to account?
Minister.
So I thank the member for the question. I would absolutely agree with the member that I think it's really important that that chair is independent of both government and local government and the strong institutional voices that we hear most loudly in this debate. I personally believe it should be someone with lived experience or someone who represents lived experience. I think that they would be more able to hold everyone in the system, and I include government in that, to account. It would also be a very clear statement of intent that we are taking steps towards that human rights-based approach that we all want to see within social care, to absolutely enshrine the voice of lived experience at the heart of that advisory board.
Thank you. Again, we need succinct questions and answers to match. I call Brian Whittle to be followed by Fulton McGregor.
Presiding Officer, time and again the Scottish Government have ignored the social care sector when they said the National Care Service Plan was fatally flawed. And that arrogance comes with a human cost. The rising waits for hospital admissions, the rising waits for hospital discharges, countless numbers of vulnerable people waiting in desperate need of a package, all the while care homes across the country have been forced to close their doors. So given the disdain in which the Scottish Government have treated the sector, how can the sector trust that this Scottish Government will ever listen to their expert opinions again?
Minister.
So I work really closely with the sector in all its glory and diversity, actually. And I would say it's very clear that there are differences of opinion. What we all agree on, actually, is that change is needed. And I think we can all agree on the problems that our social care system faces. The challenge has been agreeing what the solutions are. And as I said already, I believe that today I have set out a path towards improvement that everyone can agree on. I think the onus is on all of us to make it work. That's what the public want. That's what the people whose lives depend on social care want. That's what their families want. So let's get on and do it.
I call Fulton McGregor to be followed by Paul Sweeney.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I wonder if the Minister can outline how the Scottish Government is working with stakeholder partners to design and implement social care support improvement as quickly and as effectively as possible, and will she again outline the time scales which can be anticipated for the resumption of the NCS bill process through this Parliament?
Minister.
I thank the member for that question. We have an ongoing programme of both policy-level stakeholder engagement as well as opportunities for stakeholder partners to engage directly in co-design activities. We currently have 286 stakeholder organisations registered in our stakeholder register, all of whom receive a monthly update on co-design activities being undertaken and opportunities to engage. We're going to continue to work closely with stakeholder partners to shape the future of social care support and improvement in line with priorities identified by the Advisory Board once it's established. On the anticipated timescales, we hope to resume the bill process in Parliament soon, subject to Parliament agreement on timescales.
I call Paul Sweeney to be followed by Stuart McMillan.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. The Minister told the Health Committee in November that trade union calls around sectoral bargaining were not covered by the National Care Service Bill, and it would be a separate piece of legislation. Given there has been scant detail to Fair Work in the statement today, I presume that is still the view of the Government. So does the Minister not agree that collective bargaining arrangements for social care staff must be on the face of this bill, given the very changes that she has set out today can only be implemented with the support and confidence of these key workers?
Minister.
So I would cautiously, and I'll probably need to get into detailed discussion with the member on this issue, but I would cautiously suggest that having collective bargaining on the face of this bill would not be within the competence of this Parliament. I am working very closely with the UK Government on its Employment Rights Bill, which will, I think, deliver as a legislative underpinning for collective bargaining. And in fact, here in Scotland, we are many years ahead of our UK counterparts in developing a system of sectoral bargaining that works, given the complexity of the system. More than 1,000 employers, very challenging to deliver that, but we are very close to delivering that. So I am very confident that I will continue my engagement with the unions as I have been, and that we will make progress on that front, but probably hand in hand with the UK Parliament.
I call Stuart McMillan to be followed by Gillian Mackay.
Thank you very much. It's important that the Scottish Government continues to unequivocally support social care users and the services currently in place, and I note the comments from the Minister with regards to the 25% increase in investment so far this session. But can the Minister outline how the Scottish Government will continue to adequately invest in our social care sector in terms of both high-quality services and staff alike, particularly in the Scottish budget in 25-26?
Minister.
So our proposed 25-26 budget provides record funding of £21.7 billion for health and social care. That's an uplift that exceeds consequentials and takes funding to an all-time high. Resource funding for health and social care has more than doubled since 2006-07, up more than 41% in real terms. Our £2.2 billion investment for health and social care integration delivers on our programme for government commitment, as the member has said, 2 years ahead of the original target. We've provided an additional £125 million to support the delivery of the pay uplift to a minimum of £12.60 an hour for adult social care workers, as well as £5.9 million of investment into the Care Inspectorate and £13.4 million into Independent Living Fund. This year's budget also underlines our continued commitment to support Scotland's unpaid carers, including an increase in funding for voluntary sector short breaks to £13 million. We've delivered record funding of £15 billion for local government this year, with the freedom to set council tax that local government requested. Parliament just now needs to work together to pass that budget, to enable us to get on with delivering the services that the people of Scotland expect and deserve.
I would remind members they're very pressed for time. I need succinct questions and succinct answers to match, Minister. I call Gillian Mackay to be followed by Alex Hamilton.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. I hope this announcement by Government will now allow us to make these small but positive changes to social care, even if we know there's much more that needs to be done. Rightly, the Minister highlighted how traumatic it can be for people to repeat their stories. Could the Minister outline how the work of the lived experience groups will be retained and how it will contribute to ongoing reform of social care, and whether the right to information and advocacy originally contained in Part 1 of the bill will be put into the bill elsewhere?
Minister.
So I absolutely recognise that the voice of lived experience is vitally important, and I know that Gillian Mackay and the Green Party members are committed to listening to lived experience. I find the various stakeholder groups that I interact with extremely important in helping me to find a way forward in this very complex and contested area. In terms of the independent advocacy, I'd be more than happy to pick that up with the member as the bill progresses through Parliament, but she is absolutely correct that the changes that we are making to the bill will change where it links into it.
I call Alex Hamilton to be followed by Jackie Dunbar.
Care in our country is broken, Presiding Officer, but SNP ministers have spent 4 years and £30 million on the wrong solutions. That's enough to pay the salaries of 1,200 care workers for an entire year. What a waste. Every year wasted on this is a year the Minister could have been getting on with fixing our broken care system. So will she now apologise to everyone stuck in hospital because community care is not available to receive them home? To the care workers who cannot offer the care and support they signed up for and want to offer because there simply isn't enough time, and to the legions of unpaid family carers who don't have the wraparound support they need?
Minister.
So, thousands of people who use social care and community health services across Scotland have told us that things need to change. The independent review of adult social care carried out by Derek Feely recommended that we establish a national care service underpinned by a human rights-based approach and giving a voice to people with lived experience at every level. A national care service is not opposed by those with lived experience, and in fact, it is the very opposite. They have pressed the Scottish Government to push forward. I hope that this pause and this further clarity on what it is we are trying to achieve with primary legislation will enable those parties that have been opposed to change from the very conception of that change will now come round the table and contribute to shaping the change we need to see in Scotland.
I call Jackie Dunbar to be followed by Annie Wells. Mr. Dunbar.
Ultimately, at the heart of this discussion are social care users across the country who require our support and reassurance while the NCS bill is paused. Can the Minister outline how the Scottish Government will engage with service users and carers directly on the next steps of this process?
Briefly, please, Minister.
We absolutely recognise the value of engaging with people with lived experience, both receiving and delivering social care, and that has been at the heart of our approach to date, and it will continue. A letter is going to be issued today to all of our stakeholders. I've arranged to speak with several groups of users, carers and stakeholders over the next couple of weeks. It's absolutely vital that we continue engaging and listening to people throughout the next phase of the National Care Service. I'll also be holding smaller, more focused group discussions with disabled people's organisations, workforce, social care and carers organisations and other stakeholders. Alongside these discussions, we do have a number of co-design engagements planned, and that will all be made clear in those letters to stakeholders.
I call Annie Wells to be followed by Claire Hockey.
Thanks, Presiding Officer. The Scottish Government was warned from day one that this bill wouldn't work and didn't listen to anyone. 4 years on and nothing has changed. So will the Minister today take the opportunity to apologise to all those that they have let down?
Minister.
I think it's somewhat incorrect to state that 4 years on nothing has changed. In fact, the bill was introduced, it was changed extensively, and then we paused and it was changed extensively again, and now again. I have listened to stakeholders who have raised concerns, and I am changing direction again. As I've said multiple times, I hope that what I've put forward today is something that the whole of Parliament can get behind. I look forward to working with all members to deliver improvements as the people of Scotland need.
And I call Claire Hockey.
The Health, Social Care and Sport Committee has heard from numerous third sector organisations, stakeholders and, importantly, from people who access care services of the need for radical reform of the care system. Can the Minister advise how the amendments she's proposing to the bill will ensure that their concerns are addressed?
Minister. The changes I'm outlining today will improve the lives of people who have been calling for reform for far too long. Putting Anne's Law into primary legislation gives it the status and the protection that it deserves, and which the families of care home relatives have been calling for so long. We've listened to those who've told us that sharing your story repeatedly can be frustrating and traumatic. That's why this bill improves information sharing standards. It also includes a right to short breaks for unpaid carers, ensuring we're not only providing support for carers, but also ensuring their rights are protected by law. We've heard loud and clear that people want improvements to the management of the complaints system, as well as governance at a national level. Outputs of this work have had a direct impact on the plans I've outlined for the Advisory Board. It remains clear from the Feely Review, from engagement with thousands of people with lived experience and from a wide range of stakeholders, that enhanced national support and oversight of the way that care is delivered in Scotland is vitally necessary. That's why the Advisory Board will play such a vital part in ensuring that people across the country get the quality of service they deserve, driven by the real experts, the voice of lived experience.
Thank you, Minister. That concludes the statement, and there will be a short pause before we move on to the next item of business for front bench teams to change position should they so wish. Thank you.